Alright guys, sorry, this is a 95 Ford F-150, really neat rig. It's a four-wheel drive. It's got the nice Dana front end and add a leaf on the back for extra towing capacity. Excuse the race tires, we're just joking around with that. But what we're doing is rebuilding the front end. We started off with just, you know, it's a little loose, let's put some steering components on. This is my buddy's truck who usually helps me out with stuff, so I figured we'd do a nice job on it. He bought a kit just to stabilize the front end, make it, you know, steer and stuff, take it down and get alignment. And of course, as soon as you start taking stuff apart, you're like, oh, well, probably should do this, probably should do that. You can see there's quite a bit of rust. So it took a minute to take it all apart, and I didn't film any of that, so that's what I was apologizing for earlier. So what we've done is we've taken all the main components and sandblasted them and got them ready for all the new bearings and seals. And I guess if I could say one thing about all this is that when you take your truck apart, take your bearings to the parts house, because there's, even though it's a 95 Ford F-150, you know, super common stuff, you end up with this, you know, 17 different possible builds, 11 different bearings for each component, and half the stuff you don't know the real name of. A good example is on this guy right here. So not only is there a needle bearing in there that the axle rides on, you can see in there, but there's a cool little seal that sits in there. So it's plastic here, get a little closer, plastic here, it's got a rubber regular type seal, and then that sits in the metal base. But this is what we were looking like, well, what kind of seal is that? It's just some piece of plastic, if you can see. But it was actually attached to the rubber seal that sets in. So this is a two-piece. This is actually supposed to be one piece, but it had come apart when we disassembled the unit. So he found these, the correct seal. It's one of the things that we're doing. So this is the spindle that the axle rides in. We cleaned it all up, taped off what was appropriate, painted it with caliper paint. This stuff, I don't know if you guys have AutoZone, but VHT is a common brand. Caliper paint, we're like, if any chemicals get down there, that's the way to go, because it'll protect it. Blasted these things with a mixture of soda and sand to get it a nice smooth finish and get all in little cracks and crevices. Then we painted it, pressed in new upper and lower ball joints. And while we're in here, we decided, hey, might as well put new calipers on. By the time you pay the core charge and everything, I think these things are like 20 bucks. It's, you have to do it because it's just worth it. And now we're at the point where we're putting it back in. I'm currently taking this guy out, press the new one in, which is right over here. So the new one will go in once we get the old one out. New seal goes on, and I think we're about ready to reassemble this thing. So you can see we blasted even the disc brake shield. All the parts are going back as best we can. The only thing we're not doing is the new studs. There's no reason to. They'll press back in and be fine. These are manual hubs, which is an aftermarket item. They're kind of messed up on the outside, but on the inside they look totally viable, so there's nothing wrong with those. And one thing we're learning slowly but surely is with the Chinese stuff, you can try and go for the original disc brakes, but usually for drilled and slotted rotors, it's the same price if you have time to order something online. He's doing KYB front shocks. I don't think we're messing with the back shocks right now. I don't know if there's anything wrong with them or not, but and then this is the front end, which started this whole venture. Anyway, let me give you an overview of the truck really quick. I'm zoomed out as far as I can, but it's a nice extended cab. Back doors don't open, but that's okay. Four-wheel drive. Like I said, it's got the add-a-leaf, then it's got the locking hubs up front. It's a good clean truck, high mileage, but it's got the 351 fuel-injected motor, and it's worth putting effort into. He's going to keep it for towing and stuff, so I think it'll turn into a really nice, good truck. You can see all of the rust and stuff that's up under here. So we'll deal with that slowly as we need to replace something here and there, but should be a good truck. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll line up those joints so that the pin can go in there. This one doesn't require a pin. Just tighten her up to about the same torque. You gotta kind of estimate it. I'm sure you can look up the torque and do that, but that's what she looks like when she's all on there. And it really feels good because this is nice and tight, but when you get all the weight on there, it really isn't going to turn good. So the next step is to put the axles in and go from there. Alright? Alright, so this side hasn't been tightened up yet. You can see everything's loose. Two different sockets. We're looking at a 29 and a 32 metric 95. I can't help it. Anyway, we're gonna tighten those guys up, and we're gonna tighten it up very similar to the other side, where we make sure get it as tight as you can, and then a little bit tighter so that cotter can fit through there. This particular guy came with a cotter key, but we don't need it because it's just a tighten and doodle. So yeah, you do the ding dang doodle up here, you do the doodle down here, you're good to go. It's that easy.
You're supposed to be Al.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. No, dude, you gotta fucking tighten those fuckers.
I am. I'm just, going around real quick.
No, dude, you have to tighten them. God damn it! I didn't say send it like that. Shit.
I gotta send it. Hey, break shit.
Yeah, that's nice. Who painted those? Those look really nice.
I don't like this. I'm not having fun anymore.
Well, it's your fucking truck, Al.
Not my fault it's here. You're the one who broke it.
I didn't. Oh. Okay. Part 2. You never want to forget to put the brake. What's that thing called?
It's not my fault. You fucked up.
Well, I remembered it at
You
least.
can call whatever the fuck you want. You don't need it on race cars.
It's the brake thing. Here. Is that right?
I'm probably putting it. That's the wrong side. No, you're doing it wrong.
There it is.
There's no fucking way that's the right
Yep,
way.
the holes line up. Look, see, there's a hole there, and there's a hole there. All right.
I don't believe you.
Well, you did a great job torquing them without the brake shield on.
It looked good until you got there. I can't even.
But you can't even put it on there?
That.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is. Here, put that on so I don't have to hold this.
Let go.
Oh my god. Oh. You're doing it wrong. You know why I don't wear gloves? Because I'm a man.
So fucking long. Here, put
Oh,
this
hold on. Is that one on right? Okay.
Put this nut on, man.
You like it when I put the nut on, don't you? Are you hurry?
Or torque to tight.
Go back to the first one. Thank you. Thank you. No, stop it. Now you're just over tightening. You're loosening the others by doing
You're
that.
an asshole.
Yeah, well. Okay. Yeah.
And go.
Oh.
And go. Don't forget these little tiny screws. Oh my god.
The cool thing about these is my friend sandblasted just one side, because he's cool like that. Not. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but so we put this hub on, then we put this on, and then we took this off, and took this hub off, and then put this fucker on the backside because we're idiots, and there might have been alcohol involved, but pretty much it's packed together correctly now. And I really don't have anything to say about these not being clean or new because, well, it's not my truck. I happen to know the guy. Cool. I mean, I'm just saying, sometimes when you're working on your stuff or your friend's stuff, a little bit of fruit punch doesn't hurt. But sometimes it leads to rework. So, I mean,
who painted those nuts?
You know, knuckle, dust shield, hub. Well, it looks like the knuckle might be there and the hub might be there. We're missing something. So we got to take this guy off, throw the dust shield back on, and put this back on. So at any rate, it's no big deal. It's just, you know, one of those things. Sometimes after a couple weeks you forget how things actually go back together, but when you start bolting stuff together and it doesn't line up correctly, you kind of remember, oh yeah, that's what I needed to do. At any rate, that's that. So we'll get to it. Alright, so something that I learned when taking these off, they're like all rusted together and super hard to get off, and you're like, you try to put a cold chisel in here. Oh, sorry. Tried to put a cold chisel in here, and it just didn't want to move. But thanks to Ford, because they're super cool, you'll see that there's two holes right there. And let's see if I can get this on there. Right here, you can put a just a flat chisel in there, like a hole chisel, not a cold chisel, but a hole chisel, and hit it pretty good, and it actually pops it off. So it was very useful to learn that. I didn't know that before, and we're going to use that idea also to take these off again because we messed up on the other thing. All right, so we got the rotors installed, the studs installed, the hub installed. Then we got the locking ring for the manual locks. Again, these are aftermarket manual locks. So we torqued those guys to 50, then backed it off, and then torqued it to 40. And it's, I mean, that's what I like to see when I'm, that's what I like to see when I'm checking a bearing. It's tight, but it's not too hard to turn. You know, it's, and the tinking you see is this. When we torque the wheel on, it'll pull those studs in and be 100%. So we'll make sure those are good when we torque them. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put the locking ring in here, and then the secondary doodle, and then we'll put the locking hub on, and yeah, we'll take pictures of that. All right. Okay. So we got the inner ring in, we got this clip on, the manual locking hub gear set is in. Now we're going to put the covers on, calipers, pads, and then tighten up some front end components. I think we got those in, just kind of mocked in yesterday. Not very good light. Those mocked in yesterday. Do a little adjustment and tie them together. Well, new caliper, pads, all the hardware all put together except for the shock. Working on that on the other side. Pretty easy stuff. Got these guys back on. Lubed them pretty good so that they come off easy again if you have to. Had to replace a couple studs on the other side, but it is what it is. So the 95 F150 that we were working on the other day, you got some, this is a better view of it. You got some wheels and tires, added some LED lights, and now it's all together. we had to pull out the gas tank because it had somebody replaced the fuel pump, and they didn't do a very good job with the O-ring between the fuel pump and the gas tank. So pulled the gas tank out and replaced the O-ring, and now everything is nice on it. I think we're going to do some hinge pins on the driver's side door, and that's like the kind of the last thing that we're going to do. It's all up and ready and good to go.